Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So this is 11th and 12th boards guide for CBSE students. Now I myself am an IPE student, but yeah, I'll just recount how my boards were for me. Let's start with, so I have 5 subjects: Sanskrit, English, Maths, Physics and Chemistry. Sanskrit was basically by heart work. We just had to mug up all that information, write some in our own words, and just present really well. And English was a little bit different. So, English, I used to kind of take the textbook and I used to read all those lessons so I can understand what the story is. Most of them were stories, but some of them were like biographies or just basically inspirational blocks of text. So those were kind of hard to just read and remember. So those you had to kind of read again and again, right? So we used to give mocks. So through that I got some practice. And they used to give an about the author section at the end, right? I used to read that and just write down the important points that I would write in the exam. So instead of following the material, I mostly used to follow the textbook, and obviously there's grammar part. It's actually in English, the key was to, effectively manage time, because there was a lot of writing for 3 hours. I would never have enough time, but I used to try my best to fill up the booklet. The key in English was, so they used to give us these sort of annotations. They used to give us a line from the lesson, and you had to write the context of when this line was uttered, who said it, why they said it. And the key was to just stay relevant to that point and not just start blabbering about the lesson. So, keeping that all in mind, giving really good presentation and acing the grammar probably would get you good marks. But of course, there wasn't a scope for full marks. 98 was the maximum. And in my first year, I think I got 97. But yeah, moving on to mathematics. Mathematics is more really about practice. You give your marks, you give your sample papers, you look at some previous year papers, and just practice, practice, practice. Like there was no room for reading. You can watch one shots for some chapters that you really don't know. But they used to give us a book that was, I think, around half a HC or thick. And so there would be a lot of questions in that book. You can just practice the questions from that book, and 95% of questions would show up from that book, because I think they did a really good job of covering all the models as well. But the paper also kind of tends to be predictable a little. And even if they change the numbers, the model remains the same. So you can, even then, you can solve the questions that way. So it was really just a key thing for us to practice the questions in that book, and we'd probably ace the maths exam. And then we come to physics and chemistry. So in physics and chemistry, it was a little harder. They used to give us a material, but it wasn't important questions. It was basically NCRT solutions. I'm from Sri Chaitanya, by the way. And you just had to read the textbook and read the material, just kind of balance the both. But there was a weightage declaration, basically. Not always accurate, but kind of gives you an idea. So, from which chapters 4 mark questions are more likely to come, sort of that sort of a system. And yeah, that is about it. Chemistry was for me the hardest because I am the weakest in chemistry, but the rest were pretty okay. And that's how I got 945 out of 1000 in boths. I did have practicals though. Anyway, now for CBSE students, I've specifically found some channels, some playlists, some resources you can use. So let's get into that. So this is Neha ma'am, and she has a whole playlist for 12th boards, and I'm sure she's going to be doing some sessions, some sample paper solving sessions for both this year as well. But she also has a Zero to Hero series, final revision series for all these chapters, which I think will definitely come in handy for you guys. And yeah, I definitely trust this educator, but ma'am speaks a little slow. So you guys would probably be able to understand her even at 2x. So definitely recommend that, because then you'd be able to revise or even start like from scratch and still understand the chapter in 1.5 hour, 2 hours. Although it won't be as detailed, but something better than nothing. This is again another resource I've raved about. Vora classes, definitely a gem of a channel. It has sample papers. There is an NCRT line by line series. Although ma'am has only done this for organic, but I'm sure they're going to be coming up with something for this year boards as well. So do subscribe to that channel and just see what the content is like. They have a physics series as well. I will say that they haven't finished the series for all the subjects and all the chapters. So do keep that in mind. So this is a channel I found while I was sort of skimming around, and you can go to his Telegram page. He has some sample papers. He has some previous year papers. Just scroll up a bit and you'll see those. So I definitely recommend that as well. You know, more resources the merrier. So this is the sample paper book that I've heard multiple people recommend. Definitely seems like a good resource, and I've seen all positive reviews for it everywhere I have searched. I did try to find a PDF of it online, but I couldn't. It's for 400 rupees. You can do your own research and then decide if you want to buy it or not. And if you are in a coaching and your coaching is already conducting mocks for you, then maybe you won't need it. So yeah, another tip I'd give you is, if you're solving maybe 5 sample papers for one subject, then definitely solve 1 to 2 or maybe even 3 on paper, but the last 2 you can just do it in your head. Think of the answer in your head and check from the key. That I think is helpful to save time and just kind of move things along. Another thing I'd say is, don't waste your time online looking at 20-25 strategy videos. Obviously, look at some of them. Obviously, resources are important to you, but stop at 5 or 6. Don't waste your time beyond that. Don't spend your whole day on strategy videos when you could have finished 4 to 5 chapters on it. But yeah, I think that is it. We are done here. If there's anything else you guys want me to talk about, if you're a dropper or a partial dropper, any advice you want to give to people who are giving their boards this year, do let me know in the comments. And okay, bye.